So, Ori and the Annals of Alliteration is the sequel to a certified banger of a modernhood classic, and thus has some pretty big shoes to fill. And I'd say that for the most part it wiggles those hairy little toes into them glass slippers fairly comfortably. But it's not quite the perfect fit I was hoping for. As where the original game tugged at my heartstrings from the word go and played me like a fiddle all the way through, this one didn't quite grab me in the same way. Now that's not to say it left me cold, but it definitely didn't have anywhere near the same emotional impact on me as the first game. However, where the story came up a tad bit short, the game made up for that in the gameplay itself, which is as smooth as a baby's bottom smeared in butter. For the most part. The movement is just so fluid and responsive that it makes you just fly through the map at lightning speed. Once you get the hang of all the abilities and can string them together seamlessly. And your ability to do just that will be thoroughly tested later on in a couple of sequences, where any major flub means you're back to square one, which can be very frustrating. And I guess this is where I awkwardly bring up a few of the encounters that chose to suddenly ramp up the fairly easy difficulty level of the game into a realm bordering on horseshit. The primary offender being the spider boss, that I could not for the life of me beat into submission without looking up some pointers online. And even then I struggled to actually progress, which is a stark contrast to the vast majority of the game, where I never felt stuck for more than a couple lonely minutes at a time. The sandworm sequence was also not very easy at all, and the last boss did manage to make my blood boil just a little bit as well. But aside from a couple of uncharacteristically difficult encounters, the game was a lot of fun and thoroughly enjoyable, and more or less just a great experience, which was most definitely elevated above and beyond the norm by the absolutely stunning visuals and a solid soundtrack. Although the music did feel like just more of the same instead of being an actual leap forward from the previous game, but in general, this is clearly a lovingly crafted game with far more positives than negatives, and I think it deserves a pretty decent score. 8 out of 10 Spirit Orbs.